Session 9. Scene Composition and Object Management in 3ds Max. 1. Analyzing environment and choosing a suitable scene setting. Before setting up the scene, decide the type of environment. Urban location requiring surrounding buildings and streets. Villa-style setting needing more greenery and open space. Forest or natural landscape requiring integration with natural elements. 2. Categorizing objects into separate layers for easier management. To increase efficiency and control, place objects into dedicated layers. Select all objects of a similar category, for example, trees or surrounding buildings. Create a new layer using the Create New Layer option. Assign selected objects to the new layer via Assign Selection to Current Layer. 3. Layering objects and optimizing heavy scenes. Tree layer contains all trees in the scene for easier control. Surrounding building layer ensures proper urban integration and reflective accuracy. Landscape object layer manages benches, plants, rocks, and decorative elements. 4. Adjusting background objects for accurate reflections on glass. If a scene contains reflective glass surfaces, surrounding elements must be placed correctly behind the model to generate realistic reflections. Incorrect placement can cause unnatural reflections. 5. Preparing for next session, materials setup and advanced texturing. In the next session, we will explore material creation in Corona Renderer, including how to add realistic materials to objects. Continuing Session 9, Object Management and Material Preparation in 3ds Max. 6. Selecting high-quality objects and importing them into the scene. After analyzing the project and selecting trusted object providers, models must be imported and reviewed for modifications. Choose suitable models from sources like Arch Models, Evermotion, 3D Sky, Quixel, and CG Axis. Import models and assess editability, for example, modifying facade, removing/replacing windows, adjusting materials. Categorize imported objects into scene layers to enhance project organization and prevent excessive weight. 7. Material preparation and texture mapping. Once the object is added, its materials need recognition and linked textures must be correctly assigned. Use Relinked Bitmap script to automatically set the correct texture paths. Verify material presets and adjust mapped textures as needed. Convert older materials to newer Corona-compatible versions for optimized rendering quality. 8. Using Corona Converter for V-Ray to Corona material transitions. Since most marketplace objects were created with V-Ray, their materials must be converted for Corona Renderer. Install V-Ray to enable compatibility with older materials. Run Corona Converter and select Convert to Corona Materials. Review converted materials and apply additional refinements for better realism. 9. Installing V-Ray and adjusting legacy material conversion. If using V-Ray objects, installing V-Ray is necessary for material recognition. Setup guidelines. Disable Internet and antivirus before installation to avoid interruptions. After installation, configure texture paths in 3ds Max. Ensure V-Ray materials are properly mapped before conversion to prevent errors during rendering. 10. Preparation for next session. Rendering settings and realistic material creation. In the next session, we will explore how to optimize materials for Corona Renderer and apply realistic textures to enhance final renders. Installing V-Ray and converting V-Ray materials to Corona Renderer. 1. Downloading and installing V-Ray for 3ds Max. Ensure Internet is turned off to prevent installation errors. After downloading, define installation directories and place files in the appropriate folders. Transfer to Essential Files. Move the first file to the Plugins folder in the Threads Max installation path. Place the second file inside the Plugins directory for V-Ray. 2. Reviewing initial V-Ray settings in Threads Max. After installation, a dedicated V-Ray toolbar will appear, providing quick access to essential rendering tools. 3. Comparing V-Ray CPU versus V-Ray GPU rendering. V-Ray operates in two primary modes. Standard V-Ray utilizes CPU for scene processing. V-Ray GPU leverages the graphics card for rendering calculations. V-Ray GPU lacks support for certain plugins and struggles with complex scenes. The new Vantage rendering engine is designed for real-time GPU rendering and will soon support Corona Render as well. 4. Using Corona Converter for V-Ray to Corona material transition. After installing V-Ray, convert scene materials to Corona-compatible versions using Corona Converter. Enable Convert Proxy to Corona for proxy model conversion. Transform lighting materials, for example, V-Ray light materials, into Corona formats. Activate Relinked bitmaps to adjust texture paths. Switch to Corona Renderer for full transition from V-Ray to Corona. 5. Preparation for next session. Fine-tuning Corona materials for realism. In the next session, we will explore realistic material setup in Corona Renderer and apply PBR-based rendering for enhanced physical accuracy. Continuing Session 9, Final Scene Setup and Topography Adjustments. 11. Refining converted materials and scene lighting adjustments. Enable Convert Everything to transform all scene materials and lights into Corona-compatible formats. Preview converted materials to ensure proper transitions. Use Show Converted Materials to verify changes in the viewport, since some materials might not update visually. Apply Fix Gamma to fine-tune material colors and ensure accurate shading. 12. Adding landscape objects and enhancing surroundings. After material conversion, additional elements enhance realism. Curbs and sidewalks sourced from Quixel or other high-quality providers. Realistic asphalt for streets and pathways. Street lamps are improving nighttime illumination. Power lines are designed using arc and freehand tools to add depth. 13. Adjusting topography and using noise for natural terrain formation. To simulate realistic ground surfaces, start with a basic plane. Modify vertex positions for elevation variation. Activate soft selection to prevent sharp transitions. Apply noise modifier to introduce subtle terrain irregularities. Smooth terrain with Turbo Smooth for improved realism. 14. Utilizing Corona Scatter for randomized grass and leaf distribution. Corona Scatter efficiently distributes natural elements across the scene. Select the surface area for scattering, for example, grassy terrain or forest floor. Load grass or leaf models into Corona Scatter. Adjust scatter density and apply random rotation for natural variation. 15. Preparing for next session, mastering scatter tools and organic object distribution. In the next session, we will explore Corona Scatter settings and techniques for distributing leaves, rocks, grass, and other natural objects seamlessly. Okay, we have reached the end of this session, and we covered all the important points. Be sure to practice and repeat these features so that you are prepared for the next session. I am Behrouz Bigham from the Architecture and Graphics Simulation Studio. Have a good day.